Ho ho hello everyone, I'm Chris Mozillo Sanderson and it's Christmas! So get your warm mug of warm liquids and come and bask with me in the most consumery time of year. See, I've got a fireplace and everything.
Stand to the flames of the timer fuels.
So I was originally planning on doing a video about just how shit yearly releases are, but it quickly descended into just me whining on and on about how boring games have become these days. Instead, I decided to talk about massively multiplayer online games and their various forms of getting money from you. 'Cause, you know, seems festive. This isn't even hot chocolate. It's whiskey. Merry Christmas, everyone. So, I've always thought that a free-to-play model of online games tends to feel a lot better. For those of you unaware, free-to-play often refers to the idea that there's no starting price in order to download and play the game. However, aspects of the game may be chipped off in a system to unlock extra aspects of the game, whether it be experience curves, cosmetic items, or expansions, but all can or cannot be bought at your own discrepancy. Then the subscription model tends to revolve around the idea that you pay a set rate every month and you've just got the game all done and paid for, getting all the content that's made. In theory. There's also other pay-to-play options, such as Guild Wars 2, which have a single flat payment, about as much as a game normally costs, and then also using the cash shop system, normally for cosmetic items. These models generally apply when talking about MMOs, which, for the purpose of the video, I'm going to go with a blurry definition to include games such as League of Legends and even Hearthstone. As I said, free-to-play feels a lot better to me as I tend to feel that I'm allowed to play the game at my own pace. As I'm not paying for anything, I can take a week off without that niggling sense of wasting money. With a subscription model, you pay for a month, and then you feel like you've got to get your money's worth, and so there's always that feeling that you could be playing the game more and more. It no longer becomes a game that you want to play for fun, but a game you're playing because you're paying. Then don't play the subscription model games, some may say. But also they're probably the ones who will then take a step out to point out how their subscription-based game is the best MMO made, purely because of that vague, elitist, capitalist platform created through the act of spending money. I mean, it's the same logic that makes cash shop items and cosmetic items work incredibly well. If you're paying for something, you tend to feel that what you're paying for is going to be better than some scrubby free item purely because you paid money for it. And we're hardwired to think that way through several years of capitalism, making us feel that this thing we've paid money for is better, and we are therefore better because we have paid money on it. Another problem I find with MMOs is that they take a fair bit of gameplay time to even get to the actual game, so to speak. Many people will argue that World of Warcraft doesn't even really begin until you get to some of the endgame stuff, which can take months to get to a point where you're doing it properly. And then you may find that you don't like it, after having paid a bunch of money. Bullshit. At least in a free-to-play game, you can find that you actually like the game before spending money on it. People may argue that a free-to-play game is generally worse, but I'd say that, at least in terms of MMORPGs, they're all shit. They're all just grindtastic, repetitive pieces of dick. Good, I'm glad we settled that. Now look at this table. Whoa, look at that. Fucking look at that. How many of these are free-to-play? 8. Fucking 8 of the top 10 are free-to-play microtransaction games. And yes, before you all start burning me at the stake, wow, League of Legends and Dota 2 and Hearthstone aren't MMOs. Wow, wine. You done? Thanks. I'm not 100% sure as to the credibility of this data due to both Dungeon Fighter Online and Lineage 1 both having their American servers long shut down, but it may also show just how insignificant the American market is. Now obviously some things to consider are the fact that in terms of subscription model games, WoW has a stranglehold. Really shown here, it's the only one in the list that has American servers. Then you think about every other subscription based MMO that comes on the market, and what people say normally is, it's good, but it's also not WoW, which is the game that I'm already paying for, so I'll just still play WoW. One of my biggest gripes with WoW in particular is how it treats expansions, in that you have to pay for them. Imagine for a moment that you paid for WoW every month over the 2 years between expansions. This means you've spent between £208.56 and £239.76 in the 2 years. And then the expansion comes out. How much does it cost? Ahaha, only another £40. I mean, seriously? Then there's also this, where you can spend money on pets, mounts and helms. For shit tons of money. They're just trying to have their cake and eat it, and then eat someone else's cake as well. I'm normally fine with expansions in free-to-play games costing money, as in theory I've never spent any money on this game. But like, charging for the expansion in a game that I've already spent over £200 on, what was the £200 going to? Server costs? My one account surely can't cost that much for Blizzard to maintain. It is fully possible for some free-to-play games to be broken as heck, but that's normally because they've converted from a subscription model. Arcade is one example. A very core element of the game is the concept of labour, in which players all play their own jobs and create a flowing economy. So in theory, someone who mainly does logging would get a bunch of wood, sell it on the trade market for someone to then use to make weapons or houses or something. If you're a free-to-play player, you can't access this bit, so the entire economy aspect of the game is gone. You have to cut down your own trees to get your own logs you can make into your own wood, so then you can make that into your own items, and the labour system just gets wildly out of hand and impossible. In fact, most of the multiplayer aspects are severely hindered, turning it into a shit single player experience because, let's all be honest, most MMORPGs are only good for the community aspect and not the gameplay. I'm generally fine in paying for games, but I'm really not fine in having to pay for a game 50 times. And then some. Not every big online game should be free to play. Maybe be like Guild Wars too if you want. Or something, just don't be shit, and either break the legs of your game to sell it off bit by bit, or make me pay for the game a good 50 times. If we look at MOBAs, there are three to mainly look at, which you've got Heroes of Newerth, Dota, and League of Legends. Originally Heroes of Newerth was subscription based, and then League of Legends came along, which was just free to play, and Heroes of Newerth just flopped. And then you also have Dota. Dota and League of Legends operate roughly on the same system, except that in League of Legends you can also buy the champions themselves. However, they're still ultimately free to play. And then Hearthstone is really this weird area where it's just kind of broken itself, where now that they've released a new expansion, they've divided in like buying packs into two sections, which can make a new player, or someone who doesn't have all the cards yet, severely hindered. Obviously with free-to-play games, if you're doing it like League of Legends or Hearthstone where you can buy champions and actual card packs, you really need to try and make it so that the level of grinding needed to put in to get it with like the normal in-game currency is not ridiculous. And then if you're doing it just like for cosmetic items like League of Legends does and Dota and Maple Story, all this shit, they just have them as cosmetic items. No one cares. If you want to make yourself look unique, great, everyone loves that sort of thing. I don't know guys, I just feel like subscription based models are kind of shits and not that great. Free to play models are much better. Maybe because I just don't like paying for things, but also because I tend to have more fun with the free to play games. Look, I just feel like subscription based models are on their way out by like 2 years, if not more. Both mobile gaming and other types of games have greatly shown how the free to play model gets you more money. And yeah, sure, there are other points to consider that I purposefully ignored for the point of making a point. But fuck it, I'm just gonna sit here with my mug of whiskey and my fireplace, enjoy the holiday season.
Let the flickering flames claim your soul.
Merry New Year. Well hey there, and thank you for watching the video you just watched. If you liked it, make sure to let me know down below by, I don't know, liking it or just leaving a comment saying that you may have had some form of positive emotion about this sort of thing. If you want, why not give me your own thoughts on this subject and leave it down below. Preferably well worded, but I don't care if it's just angry, swearing, calling me an asshole. That works as well. Anyway, if you want to check out my other stuff, if you don't, well, this is good for you. Bye bye. Both mobile gaming and other types of game. Oh shoot, I need a mug. Free-to-play often refers to the idea that there's no blah blah blah. Then the subscription model tends to revolve around the idea that you tend to spend As I'm not paying anything, I can take a week off without that niggling sense that the police are after me.